Hey everyone, this is DayTraderRockStar, and this is the beginning of the high probability watch list for the week of November 10th. And this is again Friday. Get these things started on Friday. It's early in the late morning, and I wanted to go over a couple of things right here. We're live in the market, some of the setups and stuff. I've been working on some strategies in the futures, and I haven't really been talking about it too much. I've been doing some back testing, so we're going to talk about that a little today, and hopefully get that started in the next couple of weeks. Because futures are much more volatile than the individual stocks I usually cover during the week and trade mostly. Even the ETFs, which are move well with the markets, definitely not as volatile or as as leveraged as the E-mini futures, which we concentrate on. So right now, the market here, just to give you an update, the non-farm payrolls came out today. Jobs came under the expectations. The unemployment rate did drop, though. The market reacted on the positive, and we're kind of mixed right now. The S&P is barely in positive territory. Dow's down 6, Nasdaq's down 15. We're kind of flagging out here, and this is after a tremendous rally in the market. So let's start off by looking at the S&P here, and we're looking at the S&P 5-minute chart. That's one of the good little indications of pullbacks and little topping, maybe some topping areas. Right now we're starting to get extended on the 5-minute chart. And even though the 5 minutes extended, it's not a definite that we're going to pull back. Lots of times you'll see, in a very trendy market, in this strong market here coming out for the last 4 days, every little dip has been pulled back, and lots of the dips don't even pull back or rotate back. So you could easily see that as potential more upside. The 60-minute time frame also very strong, and the daily is extended up there. So we've been really rallying. I mean, look back here. You have a tremendous rally over the last few weeks, and we're pushing right back up to this trend line, which comes in where we used to have an older high in the market. This is an interesting level because it was a trend line touch. It was the Alibaba IPO. It was the day after the Scottish vote. There's some other things going on. And that market really gave us that first big, pullback. That was really the official correction. If we got to 10%, we got there barely by the skin of, by a very small amount. And then we bounced, and we haven't looked back yet. And the market is hardest at this point because, of course, at one point you're expecting a pullback. You hate to chase things, but in the bigger picture, this picture could be absolutely a beautiful picture for our overall longer-term gains in the market. So you might actually still have opportunities here. Either way, we still do it on the shorter time frame, so that's what I want to talk about. First thing is this cash chart brings us up around 2040. So 2040 brings us in line with that trend line. That tagged here, the pivot area tagged here, pivot. Now, of course, there's a larger probably trend line back here that we could adjust out and just really take that in consideration, too, down the road on some kind of lift like that. But right now, we're looking at that 2040 area up here. And when we're up here on the daily, up here on the 60, up here on the 5-minute chart, you normally like to see that pullback unless things really get very strong and they just continue to squeeze higher, and it just becomes this squeeze trade almost. It's just there's no everything gets pinned up here, and it becomes a game of not fighting the tide here. But with that 5-minute, I'm looking at some of the other indicators on the 1-minute futures chart, and what we look for is maybe the possibility of that flag setup, which we could be seeing here. You can see that the slower stochastic here hanging tough, yet the fast stochastic pulling back quickly. And if this holds above 80, this really holds that 20-period moving average, and it starts to look like a flag. Then we really consider that a flag, even though that 5-minute, 60-minute, and daily is all set up. It's hard to believe. But this flag, because everything's, it looks like a great little flag that's starting to balance out here. You have to look at it. You have to take that into consideration. Even if the 560 daily is all extended, and it doesn't make sense to see this flag break out because it's a multiple time frame area, we still want to track it. I want to always track that flag. The more we could get confidence in this type of signal, it's just a signal I've developed. Watching for that fast rotation, holding above 70. If it holds above 80, that's even given a better example. And buying near the lower trend line here. Buying near the lower trend line. So we should give that a track. Now, a lot of these things I could do on the platform here, and I use a I actually have an IB account, but I also love the service that FT71 and Stage 5 Trading do. So I want to show you how to maybe check out their platform, download it, and try some of these techniques. So right now, let's see, let's get this over here. This just is their DOM here, and you'll start seeing this more and more. And I'm just gonna buy the market right here. I'm gonna buy the market. I have a bracket in here, but I'm just buying this signal. And we just want to see. I think my bracket here is looking at a three tick profit, a 5 tick stop on this. And that's what we want to do. We want to just test out the scenarios here, and kind of really develop that patience, develop how to use the DOMs and stuff, some of the platforms. This is, if you're starting to look at considering trading futures, that's what you do. To have the biggest edge in the futures is going to help you the best. I mean, you want to have that edge, so you want to be able to just make sure you're getting the situations that work the best, and test them. Make sure everything is kind of logical and falls into plan. And over time, if you start to see that you have a higher probability of success versus other times when you trade other styles, then kind of eliminate the ones that do not work, adapt the ones that continue to work, and wait for them. That's the key ingredient is patience. Key ingredients is patience. I mean, you can watch this. This is another thing. I'm watching the futures here. I just did an order. You can see nothing going on. But it's you're watching every single minute. It becomes kind of a weird situation because it really does take that energy away. And I only went in with one contract here. We could go in with 2 contracts, but I just want to see the setup, see how the setup sets up, and see it perform. Now this type of setup, because the 60 and the 5 and the daily and everything is extended, we're at new highs. A pop out of this I would sell it. And I would actually try possibly even short this pop. I actually think that we have a shot of breaking out to new highs and then reversing. But we have to see that. We have to see that. So that's what we're waiting on right now. On other things that we're looking at in the market today. Again, we got out of the Oshkosh. The Oshkosh trade was great. Took that off and then actually getting back into that, because I think it's a bigger pattern longer term, and I hate double dipping on the same day. I mean, the reason we got into Oshkosh, everything was lined up perfectly. Just a little lesson, and then why did we get into Oshkosh? Well, I saw the divergence playing out. Price divergence. We're starting to pull back here on the daily, and then the 60 was rotated back down, so we were all set up here, and that's what we had. We had this nice little push higher, and that's what you wanted to see. And then you really have to just take off you have to exit your position based on your same indicators you got in on, because that's how you're working. Anything else, you're bringing in emotion and bringing in things that can't really be measured, and it doesn't make for a great systematic approach to the markets. So again, you can see it's trying to push out of here. Now we got a rotation back up, and when we get this flag set up is only good until this fast rotation rotates back up to 80. Then I usually say all bets are off, and I mean you could actually just exit out of your position there. It doesn't matter if if you're up $12 or up or down $12 or up $50. You have to be careful. That's why we continued the back test these setups. And the other thing here is a little dangerous. Normally I would not go with this setup because of the 5-minute. I always want to take a futures trade with the 5-minute on my side. Right now the 5-minute is actually extended here. So we know that the possibility of a rotation back down, a little dip here is possible also. So we have the 5-minute against us. We have the 1-minute setting up as a flag. But that's the only reason I probably would not get into it. If this had the 5-minute set up, it would be dynamite. I'd really feel good about this. But I still want to, if I'm going to do with a demo on the stage 5, I want to take each of these flags just to get the experience of taking those out. Just get into that habit of always recording, analyzing HPS type of setups. Because the more they set up, the more they perform, the more confidence you're going to have in it in your trade. and you'll be able to pull the trigger fast. You'll understand about the trade, and you'll be able to get out just time, and it will become an emotionless journey through through the markets. So that's what we're waiting for now. And again, that 5 minute might not play out here. I'm not a big fan of not having the 5 minute. Again, just to clarify. Bill Ackman wants to take a stake in Walmart, spin off Sam's Club. So some other stocks here we're looking at. Lululemon still looks very nice. Lululemon. Still like this one, even though we took that trade off too. It was a good trade. You can see that 5 minute here just kind of making it slow way down. The 60 minute from here to here, that's what we got out, but it still continues to look good. And I have a target on this. We talked about this, is getting up towards this trend line. You know, honestly, I believe this is a nice wide channel. We have a good shot of getting up here above 44. And that was called yesterday. And you can see how we just trade this. I've been in Lulu many times. And, well, it's working out fine. BHI here is finally moving up here. BHI now and oil and gas stocks still basing out, still kind of grinding higher, looking good. The FCX. Nice bounce here, starting to move back up. All these have been embedded to the downside. We got to go back here. So here we get a little pop here. And again, this is really difficult because this is where you want to, you know, I just want to sell into this. I'm watching that 80 here. See, we're tagging at 80. So maybe we could sneak out of here. I want to sell that. I just got taken out. So I just got taken out. That's what I'm happy for. That's just an emotional trade, 37.50. You know, even though we are popping out of this flag, it's a good thing either way because this is a textbook flag setup. You see me talk about it all the time. So another successful example of that. Remember this example. It is a great example. All right, a fantastic example of what you look for on a flag setup on the 1 minute. Now, continues to move higher. Great. That's fine. That's fine. I'm very happy with the setup. Doesn't matter, you know, again, we're just testing this out right now. But it also tells you that this flag setup is very strong, even in the face of that 5 minute time frame. Now, my thought here today was that we could actually, because we're 560 and everything else set up, that we're going to get up here and that we're going to sell off into this little pop. So we'll call it right here. We'll just say that's what I'm watching. I'm watching this level. We are getting that rotation back up. I could actually take that short here just to play it out if we wanted to do that. But and then we're going to see if we can actually get that 5 minute rotation now. So always look in a 1 minute chart. Always look to sell into that flag breakout. You know, because especially at the top part of the range and stuff, that last flag, if it is a flag, that maybe there might be another flag out here. But that's how it usually happens. You bop out and then it kind of rotates back down. Sorry about that noise in the background. BHI here. So that's part of the lessons today. Should have probably just went in there. So I also wanted to show you how to get to the stage 5 platform. All right, so let's talk about that. That way you can actually follow along. Next week we'll probably continue to do this next week. And again, maybe do 2 weeks of back testing. And then concentrate on live money, and just want to make sure in 2 weeks that we take only the setups that we're looking at taking. You know, the qualified HPS type of zones that we look for, the playbook plays, again, the flag setup, maybe a coil stochastic, a multiple indicator setup, things that line up properly on the 1 minute chart. We put in, we put in our bracket order. We just let it ride, and in end of 2 weeks, we want to be positive. And it's going to take patience. You don't want to. The hardest part, I think, doing this is not just taking. It's like right now, I want to actually try to take a short here. I was like, yeah, and I probably could. We have the 560 and the day, everything else here looking good. But again, I really need to establish that discipline going forward. Costco pushing a little bit higher. So let's go to. You have stage 5 max in the room. You can always go to the room and get into stage 5 for stage 5 max, or you can actually talk to Anthony over at stage 5. He helps anybody out. He's a big help for day trading radio listeners and stuff. Just hit up Anthony or stage 5 max, and they'll just hook you up with a demo platform. But I think what you need to do here is go to stage 5 trading.com. Let's see if we could go bring that over here. Yeah. So just go to stage5trading.com. Try a demo. It's right there in front of you. Click on that. Just tells you exactly what to do. That tells you exactly what to do. Sign up for a 14-day demo, realistic fills, practice session, walkthrough with a broker. Just fill it out. They give you the link. You download it, and you're able to start trading. Very simple. And if you have any questions, a lot of people in the room, a lot of people on the site use the platform and the DOM. So feel free to ask. But they're very easy to talk to over there. So. But you're going to be seeing a lot of it here. So like I said, we want to really start working on some ES strategies, and a great way to do that is using the DOM that we're all trying to use together. MT getting a nice little pop here. So let's, as we wait for the next setup, and again, I'm going to continue to do my video today, but kind of added into it, we're going to do some, some education too, and we're going to give you the HPS setups. All right. So let me pause this, and we'll get right back to you. All right, one of the first stocks we're looking at for next week is Brinker, EAT. That's a restaurant stock. And you're looking at the daily chart. We can zoom out here. You're looking at the daily chart and saying, wow, it's a pretty strong stock here. Testing highs, very close to getting back to all-time highs, 55.43. And just to confirm to make sure that is all-time. It looks like it is. So, yeah, we're up at all-time highs. But, again, you can see nice little upward channel. Typically, I'm not a big fan of these upward channels unless you get in early on them. I like the the bigger trends, the pullbacks, and the smaller channels, and then the follow-throughs. Here it's kind of a little more difficult to call this, and we're also extended but embedded on the daily. But when we take a look at the 60-minute chart, and we did this yesterday, this was a nice little scout. We see one of the nicest flags out there with a perfect rotation. Now, yesterday we got in as the 60-minute time frame got oversold, and that 5-minute time frame also got oversold. That was back here around 2 o'clock, and we ran right up here until about 3 o'clock. We took profits, and it did continue to move back up. And look at how it, we kind of came up to this trend line here and just chopping around it. So today, looking back at the 60, the 60 minutes still looking very good. The flag continues to be looking very good. So I'm taking this on that 60-minute time frame. 60-minute time frame as a flag looks great. So again, this would, if this failed, crossed over, or made a full rotation back up there, I would consider taking profits or any other technical levels that come into play if it had anything going on way up here. But right now, it looks like we got some momentum pushing higher. This is actually about to take out the highs, and it's looking okay for a flag. Market here starting to push a little bit higher. And again, now we're kind of extended, and we're embedded to the upside. We're embedded on the 1 minute, embedded on the 5, embedded on the 60. Everything here kind of really grinding higher. Very strong market holding and flushed up against the 20-period moving average. So market has been continuing to push the limits. I know in my experience, a lot of traders get in trouble here when they start to feel like, or even see a little rotation back down, but it doesn't really confirm anything, but they continue to try to capture the tops in these strong markets, and that's like fuel for the fire here. These continue to move up. So when we have this situation, we're kind of embedded to the upside. Instead of guessing, and trying to capture that top, you really have to wait for that thing to confirm. I like to see that confirmation, get a rotation, get another rotation, start to put in something that we could read off of a little bit better. So even that first breakdown might be missed, but it's about the retracement and the failure and then building that new pattern. So that's how much patience you really need to, or else you'd be trying to get in here like, all right, just come down, trying to get up, might spike higher, you'd be in and out, getting chopped up. Other than draining on your accounts, emotionally draining too. So you want to just have those good setups. And again, one of those good setups is what we call the dual stochastic flag setup. The other one is a coil stochastic channel breakout. There's other ones that we like, even the wedge pattern. But the other really great one I like is that multiple time frame setup. But a multiple time frame setup on the buy side in a very bullish market is hard. Very, very hard to follow that up, or sell side in a very sell side. It's very, very hard to time that. It continues to be extended and very, very toppy up here. Now we come back here and just take a look at what happened. We did get that breakout of that flag. It did push up a little bit higher, and then we started to see a little selling. But again, I think it's probably a little more difficult of a trade up here. I have kind of a slight bias to the downside later in the day. And we were just talking about the Brinker E18. And I decided to take that off. I mean, we got out pretty flat on that. So I just didn't want to hold it into the week. I actually feel a little bearish going into the end of a latter part of the day. And even though I like this flag on the 60-minute time frame, it seems like a textbook flag. The daily, like many dailies, are all extended, and this rising trend is something I tend to go against. If you're looking at an area of least resistance, you're going to probably end up there's not much resistance above us, but you could easily pull back here, and I just don't want to deal with that right now. I want this market to set up again where we have better setups, and we're going to continue to bring you those that are a little bit better. But the nice flag, definitely on the definitely put it on the list for next week. Even though Lululemon here was a good trade for us, it continues to push higher. Look at these daily candles. This is absolutely fantastic. We also, made this a big focus list. I focus stock for the end of the week here today as it pushes up towards the top part of that trend line. So again, looking for this to really just kind of extend up into this trend line, and basically at this point, there's no chasing it. It was great on the 60-minute. It was great on the trend line. It was great as a flag. This is the reason we got into this. It was the oversold level with the flag, and you can see the results from that. And that's the same type of setup. You just have to wait for them to set up. I mean, going back to the EAT here one more time, you can start to see a little flag here and oversold. So slow grind here. But I'm not 100% on these because of the market. It's just kind of, it really comes down to a stock picker's market right now. Some stocks probably set up great for shorts. I like the LinkedIn short. I haven't had the guts to get in yet. But I do like this LinkedIn short up here. And that's actually watching it right now, 222.90 on the show here. And looks like it's going to break down here. So I might actually get into this short, just take a small short just to be keep my head in it. Because if I watch it continue to crater here. So let me see if I can get that. We still see that the ES here pulling back, and I'm not forgetting about the ES. We still have the stage 5 DOM up. And let's see what else we got here. So put this over here. We took that one flag set up, and now we're just looking for another one. And again, what I'm doing with the ES, we showed you how to download the platform at stage5trading.com. Download the platform. We're going to be going over the ES setups here. I'll probably do a whole big post on it, looking at certain playbook plays that we look for. The flag, stochastic flag setup, the coil stochastic setup, the wedge pattern, some other setups, and I'll kind of detail those in the blog or in the with the post with the video. But it looks interesting here. We just got oversold again. This is the first time we kind of dipped down here. This is what we call a dual stochastic setup, a small little dual. And that's part of the the indicators we want to watch to line up here. So on that buy side, if you're looking at that buy side, you remember we want to get both of these to rotate down. Lots of times one will be down here, but the other will be drifting down. There's only a few times they really line up here really good, and that's why, you know, unless you start to get some severe selling and we all chop up, you have to notice that. But if you get into that nice little rhythm, the combination of these two really work well for identifying really nice bounces. So you could even go to that level. You know, normally I'd like to wait for that 5-minute also to be on our side, but as you can see the reaction here, a nice little bounce. And again, just it's about developing your style, trading, making sure your brackets are set up properly for your risk reward and everything else goes that. So again, I'm just waiting here. Let's take a look at that 5-minute chart. We'll take a look at. I'm just looking at LinkedIn here. And again, here's a daily, and you can smell this 2040 area up here. This 2040 area up here, it smells like it may be even a possible kind of a blowout there, and then maybe get a. So right up in this level, I'm actually starting to accumulate some of the VIX through the VXX, and just kind of a hedge up in this zone. Just taking small shares, 50 at a time, and bringing my cost average up with me. And so let's take a look at that 5-minute chart. And you can see that 5-minute here is actually just about oversold. We did get a nice rotation. We talked about, you know, this area up here as we get overbought. Look for that pullback, and we pull back to the 20 now. We're not quite oversold yet. In some cases, you don't have to always get to that oversold level before turning back up. That's a sign of strength in the market. That 20 seems to be holding up, and that's usually a good sign too, as you can watch that price here bounce and bounce and bounce off the 20. Here we broke down, so this is quite bullish right here, and there's probably a good shot that we actually cross back up and move up a little bit higher on this one. The 1 minute dual stochastic setup here is kind of grinding higher. And stocks here, let's just continue on with some part of the watch list. This is just the beginning of the watch list. I'll probably put this one out publicly, and then we'll get into the serious setups on the second part of this watch list. But right now, again, just concentrate on some ES setups for you. Now, last week I sent out a couple posts on the ES. I was getting you guys prepared for this, talking about some of the indicators we look at. And I'm just bringing some up again just to kind of compare this. Now, remember, one of the setups we look for is that rotation, that fast rotation, fast stochastic, slow stochastic here. And again, that's the terms I use. It's just a different time frame here. This is a 40. This is a 14. So it's definitely a slower one here. And you can see it's embedded up here, and this is from my own testing and stuff. And the flag should look like a flag. We should be holding close to that 20-period moving average and everything else that goes along with it. But interesting, now that I'm just kind of looking at this, I want to bring you up the one I sent out last week, and we were doing this kind of live last week. We had a very similar situation. Here's another great example. Here's your flag. Here's your fast rotation, the stochastics, and then your move back up. Just got a little more choppy, but the general direction is understanding that once this gets oversold here, this should line up with the lower portion of that channel. And you have to give yourself, that's your object here, is to buy into that weakness as this sets up. Because then you have a nice move up. Even if you don't get that initial breakout, you have a decent move up. Over time, you did get up to here. And now we have a couple pivot areas. Here was another divergence. And this is actually called that lane divergence. And like this also is where we see that higher low versus the lower low in the price. So these are the type of setups that I'm searching for, and that's the ones we're going to be taking when we do trade the futures. Now it might seem that I'm going over this a lot, but I want to make sure that now I showed you that bullish setup. You could also get that bearish setup, which is just as great and actually works. We know that the market goes down that elevator much faster. But when you start to see a great divergence like we did here, this is that flag setup, the fast rotation, the flat line here, and the drop off. Here it is again, fast rotation, flat line, drop off. And this really takes place, and again, the measured move on this is really waiting for that rotation back down to here. Once you get oversold here, all bets are off. You could easily get that bounce back up. So these are scalping moves, and here's a great example of lane divergence to the upside. A lower high versus a higher high on the price. So So it's just an opposite and great example. So those are some of the techniques we're going to be using and doing this. And, you know, I just have to keep on telling you that it's really about patience and discipline, waiting for that setup to happen, because they're high probability setups. Hopefully we'll get some other ones here, but I'll continue to walk you through the ES here. So what we do each day here at Day Trading Radio. So if you become more interested in this and you want to follow along during the day, download that demo from Stage 5 Trading and follow along, see how you do. And then in 2 weeks, if it seems to you know, actually be catching on and stuff, we're probably all going to try to take it to the next level here. All right. All right, well, still watching the ES here and going into, again, trying to touch base with you when we see some good setups here. And again, it's pretty much sideways chop. We pushed up a little higher, pulled back. We got that dual stochastic setup right there. Kind of identified that and moved back up. Are these, you know, that definitely could have been a possible trade there. It got a little extended, dual stochastic, you know, sell signal, pulled back, and now we're chopping around. We made a rotation, but we're kind of right in the middle here in that 50 range. And chopping around, and there's you know, there was a spike higher back here, which could lead to a trend line, 2 trend lines right above us, pretty close to each other. So we'll call it $29.50 to $30, and you know, but not again. This is where you really have to define and refine your patience and just wait for those little signals that show up. Right now, just kind of a neutral signal, and we take one more look at the S&P, and I'm just, again, trying to get out there the fact that it's a game of just, you know, waiting for your hand to come up. You know, you want to bet when you have the best hand. You want to take a swing when the ball's over the plate for you. Right now, the 5-minute slowly grinding back up, but nothing really worth it here. It's more of a gamble for me. So we'll come back to it. Well, waiting for a setup. Just want to show you one of the other setups that I look for. This little downward channel and kind of a coil. Now, this is just a coil on the faster one, the 1443, 1433. But you could recognize that coil. The important thing with the coil has to be with that accompanying underlying channel with the price. Here's an example on the 5-minute chart on the cash. You can see that channel underneath, and a real good coil here on the breakout of the coil. And then we're just going to I have some other ones here that I think that's good right there. I thought we had a couple other coils in here. I got some good videos also on the forum section over here. Call stochastic channel breakout. So this was also this is what we call a playbook play, and you see the underlying channel, but the coil, the series of lower highs, and you just want to time it with the lower trend line, lower low, you know, the low here when it really kind of coiled up, where you expect that next move up here to kind of take us out of that trend line, and that's usually your best area. So another great setup, and again, this is just another setup we're going to be looking for. All right, just getting back here. Just took a lunch, and I'm getting back here to the markets. And you can see today being a Friday, and you know, trying to concentrate a little on the ES, doing a little education, talking about what we have for you next week. Just not a big movement, not a lot of movement here midday, and we just kind of came back off of this little trend line that we ran up to. But the signals are just, again, this is a great example of waiting for your signals. There weren't too many. We had that flag set up over here. Here we had that dual stochastic set up here, and we kind of had a little dual one here. But this is kind of almost a coiled 1 minute time frame, and just stepping in here, seeing, you know, this little coil playing out right here. You can see that just kind of drifting lower, just getting oversold. And I just took that a quick look at the 5-minute when I came back, and I see that's oversold here. So this is really just the second time we're getting really oversold today. One was earlier today. We actually saw this divergence. This was actually a nice little divergence. We have to mention that too. You see that higher low and the lower low on the price. So, you know, something like this is really key. You here we had a crossover which we liked, and here is the first real oversold level combined with that wedge, and we could see we got a little bounce off of that. So I came in a little late to kind of show this live happening, but at this point right here, you had that coil and the 5-minute all setting up. It gave us a little bounce right now, but nothing, not the best day for this this type of trade, and it's just a matter of being a Friday trade, things slowing down and being so extended. But we're going to do this more actively next week, so definitely I'll probably end this video here and start the HPS portion of the video, which we concentrate on all the setups for next week. But just remember, if you want to join in next week on some of the back testing here, download the Stage 5 demo platform at stage5trading.com, and just follow along. All right, we'll do that. You'll be all set up. We'll all be on the same playing field. We'll take care of that. This, again, the 5-minute setup, it looks pretty good right here. This is the 5-minute setup. And going into the last hour of the day, probably a good shot of actually moving up here. Probably a pretty decent shot of moving back up here. But again, it comes down to having the patience to really, say, all right, this is my best area, that 26 area. I'm chasing it now. The dual stochastics, one of them is already extended. It just takes it out, takes the some of the upside away from this, or the percentage, the probabilities to the upside away from, because we already rotated on that 1 minute. All right, so that's it. I was hoping we get a little more action on this, but I have a lot of work to do. I want to get that other video out for you right now, so we'll leave off on this one. This will be part of the video. It's just the first part, and we'll pick up on the second part here, talking about more HPS setups on the charts. And I'll give one out to everyone out there. We're looking at a couple stocks going into next week. I mentioned, I think earlier, the nice flag on Brinker, EAT, which you'll probably see on the watch list, and you can see that on the 60-minute time frame. And you can see actually starting to come out of here and crossing back up. And we did like this a lot, but it is kind of extended like anything else. It's kind of extended like everything else, extended on the daily. But the flag looks good. We like those type of flags. There's some other good ones out there, so that one looks really good. The Lululemon, very similar rising channel here, and pushing up towards the top part of this channel line. But again, this one also kind of completed its major move here, and we were in it on this one on the lower part of this flag. So again, if you want to be part of these moves here, stop by Day Trading Radio, sign up for a membership, and get on board. We'll talk to you. I'll talk to you Monday, and look for some follow-up educational videos coming out.